Hey guys, sorry, that was getting ready to stop, so I had to make part 2 again. But anyways, so I got into the jacuzzi, and I was still at 3 centimeters, but still, well, obviously still fully effaced, but I was still 3 centimeters, and I was starting to get scared that I was not going to dilate fast. And, but I got in the jacuzzi about, I would say, probably close to, it was like 4:45 maybe, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. And so I finally got into the jacuzzi, and oh my gosh, that was like heaven. I highly recommend anybody that likes water, I highly recommend the jacuzzi for your labor. It is amazing. And with the jets though, if you just sit in just the jacuzzi, every time the jets went off, because they were like on a timer, every time the jets went off, I was like, oh my god, like turn it back on, and I could never find the button. But so at this point, my contractions were like every minute lasting like 2 minutes, and it was like consecutive. Like I had probably about 45 seconds to a minute in between my contractions. It was crazy. But I sat in the jacuzzi for a while, and I was sleeping between my contractions, and I didn't have any birthing classes, but I, at this point, hadn't had any medications yet, or anything like that. And then I went, I got out so that they could check me, and I got out, I would say about 6:30, maybe, about 6:30, and I was 6 centimeters dilated, and fully percent effaced, obviously. And so at 6 centimeters, and at this point I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never ever gonna get to 10, you know, like just being crazy. And finally I got back in the jacuzzi. I just stayed in the jacuzzi the whole time. And my my grandma actually was like, well, you're only a centimeter away, and then you can't get the epidural. I was like, I don't want the epidural. You don't understand. And then I guess my grandma and my mom got into like a little argument about that or something. And my midwife even told my grandma, she was like, she was doing great, because I wasn't even like through my contractions, I didn't scream at all. I like hummed my way through, like when they would come, I'd go like through my whole contraction. So I wasn't even screaming at all. Like I totally had it under control. And my grandma was like freaking out, like she's 16 years old, she needs epidural. I was like, lady, I don't want it. And even my midwife was like, if she was completely out of control right now, then I would totally understand like giving her the epidural, but I'm not even going to give her the epidural because she doesn't need it, because she's doing just fine. So my grandma was like, okay, whatever. But and then I got back out of the tub at about 7:30. So I got out the first time when I was 6 centimeters. I got out at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I got out about 7:30, 7:45. And they checked me again, and I was 8.5 centimeters and still fully effaced. So I was like, okay, and there's this little tiny part on my cervix that didn't want to, it was part of like her amniotic fluid or something that like needed to pop. And through my entire labor, my water leaked because I had so much amniotic fluid. And so there's just like this little tiny part of my cervix that wouldn't dilate, and so I got back into the jacuzzi, and I came back out, and I was 9.5 centimeters around 8 o'clock, and around 8:15, probably 8:30. And then so I got out, and they took me out, and they had me. I got into the bed, and I hated being outside the jacuzzi because my contractions were more intense if I wasn't in the water. So I got out of the jacuzzi, and I went and laid in the bed, and she checked me again. I was 9.5, fully effaced, and she was like, okay, so there's just this little tiny part that you need to get before you can start pushing. So She was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Okay, and so she was having me push, and she was like pinching on my cervix to try to get it to like go away, I guess, or like do whatever it needed to do so that I could get the baby out. And so they had me roll onto my hands and knees on the bed, but I was like in the middle of a contraction. They were trying to turn me over or help me get over. My IV cords were stuck to my bed, and my gown was completely tangled underneath me, and I was starting to fall off the bed, and it was crazy. And I was in the middle of contraction through all that, like being tangled and just all that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks so bad. And at this point, I had no medication at all, and not even through the IV, like nothing at all. And I turned over, and they had me just like rock back and forth, like on my hands and knees, kind of like I was humping the air, I guess, kind of. And she said, just whenever I felt a contraction, just like sit back, and it would help the baby's head come down more, and or not come down more, but like get that little piece of my cervix to like do whatever it needed to do. So I did that, and then they rolled me back over, and they checked me again, and she kept like helping my cervix like open up and stuff. And then finally I pushed for a freaking hour. An hour, oh my god. And I kept asking her and like my parents and everyone that was in the room. Okay, everyone that was in the room, this is gonna, a lot of people say this is dumb and really awkward, but people that were in the room was me, obviously, because, okay, scratch that. Okay, so it was my mom and my dad, my two sisters, my grandma on my dad's side, my grandma on my mom's side, my grandpa, my cousin, my aunt, my best friend, and her mom, and then the doctor and the nurse. And I think that was it. I'm pretty sure that was it. There were like, at one point there was like 12 people in there. I don't know. There's so many people in there, but so everyone was like helping me, and my grandma's, one grandma on one leg, one grandma on the other, and they would help me like push. And I started pushing, and I kept asking them, I was like, can you see her head? Can you see her head? And they were like, my midwife was like, yeah, you can see it. And everyone, yeah, my mom was like, no, you totally couldn't see it. We were just lying to you. I was like, you guys suck. But, and then she was like, and then I was like, can you see her head? Please tell me you can see her head during one of my pushes. Because I could like feel her head like coming out. And I was like, please tell me you can see it. And my midwife was like, yeah, you could see about this much of it. And I was like, are you kidding me? Tell me when you can see like this much of it, alright? But yeah, so then I just kept pushing and whatnot, and I would relax between contractions. And the ring of fire for me, so her head finally started coming out, and she was insanely coned because she was in the birth canal for like my entire labor because her head was so far down. And then when I went in, because I had a bunch of pressure, they already felt her head when they checked me, so they could feel her head like when they checked me. So she was in the birth canal for a good like week and a half maybe, and then I pushed her about a week, and then from pushing, so she was insanely coned, like her head was really coned out, so the ring of fire was not bad at all. I couldn't even like barely feel it. And then I was like so in the zone when I was pushing that I didn't even know she was coming out. And then all of a sudden she was like on my chest. She was like, one more big push, and I pushed really hard and she was on my chest. And I was like, I just looked at her, and like everyone in the room started crying. And I like, it took me like 5 minutes before I started crying because I was like so in the zone that I was like, oh my god, she's here. Like it didn't click for like 5 minutes, and she was on my chest, and I was like, what? Like, just like, oh my gosh, like, I could not believe it. It was so surreal. And then finally I realized it like clicked, and I started bawling. But so she came out, and my dad cut her umbilical cord, and yeah, so I had a completely, and then I like delivered my placenta and whatnot, and that went fine, and everything was good with that. And what? And then they took me up to my room, and they got her all cleaned off, and she was born at 9:36 a.m. She was born April 21st at 9:36 in the morning, and she was 7 pounds 2 ounces and 19 3/4 inches long. And I don't know the circumference of her head, they never told me. So, whatever. But it was good, I know that. But they gave her her little bath, and they put her down and whatnot, and I took her, they, like, put me in the wheelchair and then gave her to me, and we went upstairs to my recovery room, and everything went good with that. But I did tear, and I had to get stitches, but she said it was she had to call it second degree because it was just barely bigger than a first degree tear. But she said that it wasn't, like, she could have considered it first degree, but it was just a tiny bit bigger, so she had to write, like, second degree. But so yeah, that was my labor and delivery. It was completely 100% all natural, and I was very proud because there's so many people that were like, you can't do it, like, you're 16 years old, you have no idea what you're going into, blah blah blah. But I was so proud of myself because I did it, and I knew I could, and it wasn't even, I honestly expected it to be a lot worse, but it wasn't, so that's good. Yeah, so that was my labor and delivery. If you have any questions, let me know. Just message me or comment or subscribe, everything like that. And then I'll make her 2-week update and my postpartum update, a 2-week postpartum update. Sorry I didn't get to do a 1 week, I'm really sorry. But I'll do 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and then probably 6 weeks, and then every month from then on, probably. But look out for my other videos, and thank you for watching my labor and delivery video. See ya.